Hi everyone, my name is Cara and I'm going into my fourth year of studies in psychology at the University of Victoria. So part of the reason I chose psych at UVic was to live in Victoria. I grew up on the island and Victoria is just a really beautiful city with lots to do, so I definitely had that in mind. But also UVic has a huge psych department and a really good program. There's lots of research going on all the time, and there's opportunities to get in on research labs and volunteer and learn a lot that way. There's also opportunities for going on exchange. I went through exchange in my third year and I went to a partner university that only accepts psychology students, so that was really cool. And overall, I've had a really good experience in the program and it felt like it was worth my time and effort. So psych is interesting because it's really diverse. You take biology and math and stats, even computer science in our first year. So you're definitely doing a lot of different things, and that's a nice thing because psych classes themselves are really textbook heavy. So lots of reading, lots of multiple choice questions. And yeah, the bad news is you will have to buy a lot of textbooks and you will have to read them. The good news is there's a lot of secondhand textbooks because so many people go through the psych program. So overall, it's work, but it's not hard if you love it. Oh, maybe I'll add, in your final year, you do more elaboration on the stuff you've learned in the first couple years. So you're doing more like essays and reflective work, especially if you do an honors, which is like a mini thesis at the end of your undergrad, where you get to do your own research with a prof. It's really cool. So one of my biggest pet peeves is when people say you can't get a job with a psych degree. I hate that. The truth is you can do almost anything. You can literally do anything with people. It's a really diverse degree. So my personal goals are to go to grad school, hopefully get a master's in counseling, and then possibly a research PhD. We'll see if that happens, but there's lots of opportunities for grad school, but also I know people who've just gotten out in the field and worked. Personally, I am working right now in the nonprofit industry at an organization that helps other nonprofits in Victoria through professional development and stuff like that. So I'm currently working with my degree and I'm not even done it yet. So hopefully that's promising for you. So if we're talking easy or hard classes, I'm just going to say that you should choose the classes you really enjoy. So psych has different streams. There's mind and brain, like neuroscience. There's also mental health and well-being. There's social psych. There's developmental psych. So there's lots of different opportunities to choose what you learn. And I think when you're learning something that's interesting to you, then you're not worried about how hard it is. Hard. And so definitely read about your classes, and if you can, choose the ones that you're more interested in. You really can't avoid some of the hard things like taking math and taking stats, and so those are just things us psych majors have to get through. But overall, if you enjoy it, I really think you'll be okay. So flashcards are your best friend, I would say. There's definitely a lot of just recall in psych for multiple choice stuff, so learning terms and stuff like that, especially at the beginning. But as you sort of get a handle on what those general terms are, doing a lot of reflective work in your life, like integrating it into your own stories and, like analyzing the world around you and connecting it to the real life examples you see, that's what really helps it stick. And like when you're sitting in a test, you can be like, oh, like I saw this the other day and it reminded me of this term and I could remember it this way. You know what I mean? So connecting it to your real lived experiences is probably a really unique thing about this program in this field to do. Well, in a pandemic world, it could be better. It could be better. It's not what it once was. But if we're talking my experience, like in first year and first couple years of my degree, living on residence was awesome. If you're really easygoing, then you'll just love the chaos. It's one of those things that I wish everyone does, because it's just like you have the funniest stories and you meet so many people. You're really just like immersed in it all. And places to go on campus, like the quad is probably where everything's happening. Like people are always dancing, like slacklining, eating, playing music, throwing frisbees. Like everyone's just hanging out there, napping. People nap there all the time. It's like it's a place where you can run into anyone. And yeah, exchange would be something I definitely recommend doing. It's pass fail for a lot of universities, so you basically just get to go and learn and travel, and you meet so many people. It's like the coolest thing I've ever done. So I definitely recommend doing an exchange. So on campus, we have a student wellness center, and so they do a variety of different things. They have counselors, so you can do drop-in counseling. You can show up day of, and they can get you an appointment. And I've seen a few counselors, and they've all been awesome. And you can also join the peer-to-peer counseling program. That's just like hanging out with people with some training for emotional support, and so that's really awesome. There's a Fit Connect program, which is like this thing where you get partnered up with a peer and you can go to the gym together and work out and meet each other, and that's also a really cool thing to do. But there's also a ton of like clubs. There's like lots of like support groups, lots of like opportunities to meet people for a variety of different groups. And yeah, overall there's a lot of opportunities if you just know about them. So my little sister actually started first year this year. So she's starting in a pandemic. I don't really know what that's like, but the advice I gave her was to treat it as a 9 to 5 job. And I know that sounds like a lot, but it's a really good way to do it. Like just waking up in good time, getting ready, just starting, doing whatever you need to do, taking a lunch break, and then being done at 5, and then having your evening to just do the things you enjoy, like working out, hanging out with your friends. That stuff is so important, and you can't neglect it because it'll show. If you're not resting properly, if you're not taking care of yourself, you're gonna see those results show up in your work, but also just in your general like well-being. So you don't have to like sell your soul to do well in school. You can really have a balance, but you just need to like plan and use the time. So even if like it's 9 to 5 and you have a couple hours free and you're like, oh, I'm all caught up on my work, like get ahead, like there's always something to do and you can't do it all most of the time. So that time management piece is like a huge hurdle in first year. And yeah, just treating it like a job is what helped me.